Welcome to Married to History, where we try to be informative, entertaining, and family-friendly.
Aloha, I'm Christopher. I have a fancy piece of paper on my wall that says that I know more about history than most people do.
I'm Shirley. I'm a homeschool mom that relies on good curriculum, Christopher, and Annie to teach our kids history. I almost said teach our kids musicals.
Can't you do both?
Exactly, that's the point.
I was taught musicals at a young age. Some of my happiest memories are musicals.
And you'll learn history through them, which makes it even better.
You really don't.
All right, honey, I have a history question for you today.
I love history questions.
And actually, it's not my question. Once again, we have a listener question.
Like an actual listener? Or
yeah.
Like one of our... Oh, cool.
No, not one of our rotten kids. An actual listener.
Cool.
All right. So this is from our friend Andy. He said, I saw a map and I had questions. I realized
my students say that a lot.
I realized I was woefully lacking in some aspects of my medieval knowledge, and it's way more fun to listen to you than to Google it. I disagree. I'd rather Google it, personally.
That hurts. Oh, that hurts.
I mean, Googling.
You're telling me that I gotta stop being mean? You abuse me on this program so much.
I'm just saying Google is faster. But that's okay.
Not as cool.
But Andy says that he can listen to it at work, so he can learn and be paid at the same time, which
go.
I respect.
If only I could learn and be paid at the same time.
All right, so here's the map, and I will definitely have this. I've been so bad at our social media. Like I've not posted like hardly anything on our social media to do with the podcast. It's really bad, and I feel really guilty.
No wonder you like to rub out or to point out my flaws so much lately. You're trying to cover for your own.
Yes.
Trying to make yourself feel better.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I can support that. I am a caring, loving husband.
Anyways, the social media has been very empty, but I will definitely have this map that Andy found. I'll have it on our social media before this episode drops. So if you're listening right now,
if you were about to show me a map of Middle Earth, I'm going to blow a gasket. Okay. Just making sure I'm not getting punked here.
But I may next episode. But I'm not today.
You deserve every bad thought that I am thinking right now.
Anyways, so everyone needs to, if you're listening right now, you need to go to our social media, our TikTok, our Facebook, or our Instagram, and go and look at this map so you can have a better idea of what the heck we're talking about. Okay, so let me get it ready to show.
So the only thing you've given me so far is that it's a medieval map?
He did say medieval,
okay.
Yes. I was going to show you on my phone, but it's so small, and then I can't read his questions at the same time. So,
okay.
Give me a second.
1, 2, 3.
Okay,
4,
you know what? I'll give you this.
5, 6. You're deep in debt at this point.
All right. So there you have it.
Okay.
First of all, does this map look pretty accurate?
Sure.
First glance, you think it seems compared to what you've seen?
I'm not seeing anything out of the ordinary.
Okay.
Or is there anything that looks untoward at this moment?
All right. So now I want you to zero in on the section that says Kalmar Union. What the heck is the Kalmar Union?
I have no idea what the Kalmar Union is.
Yeah, so... Okay, so we'll have to look that up then. If the map is accurate, then the Kalmar Union is a thing. But maybe it's not. I mean, that sounds like Star Trek to me, right? Like, that sounds...
The name, the name Kalmar doesn't even ring a bell in any way, shape, or form to me.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. Okay. Next question.
If you'd picked almost anything else on this map, I know something about it.
No. Yeah. No, Andy had other questions, too.
Okay.
Now, I feel like each of these... I feel like they could be an episode in their own. Okay, so what happened to make Russia into what we know as Russia? From this map, it looks like it was a bunch of smaller nations before.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we've talked about this.
Briefly,
Is this Cold War crap?
No, not quite Cold War, because all of this stuff gets united in the Russian Empire before the Cold War begins. Russia has not always been Russia, and Russia was, as you can see from this map, a lot of different loose kingdoms. You got Muscovy, you got Novgorod. The Golden Horde is a leftover from the Mongolian Empire.
Wait. So, hold on. I didn't look at the map. There's literally something on here that says Golden Horde?
Yeah, just below Muscovy.
Was that the name of a country? Wait.
That was the name of the Mongolian Empire.
So that
Or well, that's
okay.
at least that branch, that sliver of the Mongolian.
So like obviously English translation.
Now, granted,
there.
I
That's
don't know if
fun.
that's the name that they chose for themselves or that was the name that was given to them. But yeah, so
Wow.
you can see that not all of so Lithuania is a country today, also
Yeah, I know that.
Poland. But I would hope that you would recognize at least enough from the borders that Poland is not that shape or have all that land anymore. Lithuania is nowhere near that big today.
A small note. I don't know European geography.
Okay, well,
So
Poland,
I don't know why you assume that I know what Poland looks like.
Well, some of that land that's current that on this map is in Poland is part of Poland today.
Okay.
A lot of that is in Poland, and Poland has land that it doesn't have on this map today. Lithuania is very tiny today, whereas there it looks like it's a pretty decent sized empire.
It's bigger than Poland on this map.
But yeah, so the Russian Empire arguably begins with the Rus Vikings. Yes, they were Vikings, believe it or not, who invaded the area, conquered the area.
Because Viking wasn't a race. It was
correct.
It was a job,
culture.
right?
No, yeah, you could call it a
Because you
job,
go
but
Viking.
It was more that it was a culture, the Scandinavian Danish culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
But okay, so sorry. So
anyway, that's the earliest beginnings, or at least what I would call the earliest beginnings of the Russian, what would become the Russian Empire was the Rus, a tribe, if you will, or a clan of Vikings.
Where did they come from?
From Scandinavia. I don't know specifically which part of Scandinavia they came from.
Scandinavia.
I want to say Sweden, but they were very, very far removed. Like there was a clear break and separation from them, which allowed Rus culture to grow into something new and different of that we don't really think of them as Vikings.
Okay.
Or at least when we study them. From there, so as empires always do, that expanded through conquest, kings battling, gaining new lands, making diplomacies, making diplomatic marriages, things of that nature. But I think more so it expanded through conquest. And eventually, by the time you get up to, I don't remember when it reached its height, but it had lots of wars over the expansion of its territory. So today, Russia is fighting for Ukraine.
Yeah.
Russia, throughout its history, has fought over Ukraine. And all manner of different people have gotten involved in the fight. The Ukrainians, of course, have been involved in the fight, but the Ottoman Empire was involved in the fight for a time. You can see there on this map.
I knew that.
It's a bit early for this, but the British Empire would eventually be involved in fighting for Russia not having control of what is today the Ukraine.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, there were lots of different fighting, lots of different wars that were often enough designed to stop Russia, amongst others, from expanding its power and its influence into certain areas. And one of those was the Ukraine area. There was a lot of people that had Russia had a big interest, still has a big interest in having that land. And there were a lot of other people, a lot of other kingdoms and countries, nations that had a lot of interest in Russia not having access to that land.
This just seems so generic. Like this is just the story of Europe.
Yeah.
Forever.
So there are always unique details in the story, but the macro, if you will, is almost always the same. Some kings, the land is split up into a couple of different pieces.
Yeah.
Those pieces don't always get along with each other. Sometimes they form peaceful unions. Other times they conquer one another. Conquest is arguably the most repetitive thing that has happened throughout human history. People claim that, we're past that today, but I think if you double check your maps, you'll find out that no, there are still campaigns of conquest that are at least talked about, if not actively being engaged in.
Well, I mean, literally right now.
Yes.
Ukraine, Israel, and Palestine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm learning here, like the most important thing I think I've ever learned from European history is that people can't grow up and they want to steal each other's toys.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you for.
Though in this case, I would say it's not so much that they're after each other's toys. Don't get me wrong; they'll take the toys that they can get it, but they're mostly after the other person's fields and mines and the things that they can make their own toys with.
Okay, so yeah, Minecraft. It's
Minecraft.
Have you seen?
I haven't played enough Minecraft to understand that reference.
No. You get it though. Have you seen the meme where it's like it says something like, we got rid of child labor, but what do kids today spend all their time doing? Playing Minecraft. The children yearn for the mines. They miss it. We should let them labor again.
They do not miss it. They do not yearn for it. I guarantee you, if you put them in a mine and they realize that, they can't get iron and then forge it into something cool in the span of, a minute or two, I guarantee you they'll lose interest and they'll go back to the video game that tells them that they can do that in a minute or two.
Well, yeah.
To say nothing of mining all the way down into Hades.
That's true. It's called the Nether.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's fiery, but Nether. Okay, so this map...
And the Romans called it... what did they call it? No, the Romans called it Hades. I was thinking of Elysium.
What's Elysium? That's
Elysium was heaven.
Yeah, that's kind of different.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, that's what happens when I start thinking about... Or when I start saying something before I finish thinking it out.
I've never done that in my life. Not once.
Pretty sure you did the day you said yes.
Well, yeah, I should have.
Or I do for the unconverted.
Yeah, I should have thought about that a little longer. Okay, so back to the map. So it says Europe in 1460. What details can you give me as far as like when did this change into something else? Like what events were happening in 1460? How did that affect this? Like, would any of the Russia formation be affected by the Crusades?
I don't think so. I want to say that there was some Russian involvement in the northern part of the Crusade, but that probably wasn't Crusader warfare. That was probably just natural border expansion with the Ottomans or people in the what we'd call the Georgia area. Okay, that area isn't on this map, but the area where Georgia and the Caucasus region, they were probably fighting there because that would have been a point where the eventual Russian Empire and the Ottoman Empire, their borders would have clashed with each other.
Hold on. I know there's a lot of Caucasian people in Georgia, but I thought we were talking about Europe.
That region is called the Caucasus, and...
No, it's called the South. Maybe even the Deep South. It's just the South. Georgia.
Are you playing with me right now? Georgia is a country. I am not talking about Georgia the state. Georgia the state in the United States is clearly not on this map, but Georgia the country is also not on this map.
It's not on this map!
And your phone just shut down the map for me so I can't see it anymore.
You probably pushed a button.
I didn't touch a button.
Pushed a button.
I didn't touch any of the buttons.
It's right
there. Okay, I can see it again. So yeah, Georgia is off to the east, outside of view on this map.
No, it's west and south.
Woman, I already said that we are not talking about the state of Georgia. You remember Community, right?
I love Community.
We love that show, Community. Do you remember the UN episode?
Vaguely.
So in the UN episode, one of the countries that is in the team's UN is the country of Georgia. Troy is assigned the delegate of Georgia, and he keeps speaking in a southern accent the whole time. Even after being reminded that, okay, we're not talking about the state of Georgia, right? Troy points out that, no, he knows. He knows they're talking about the country of Russia. But he keeps using a southern accent.
Because it's such a good bit.
Yes, it was funny. I enjoyed it.
Anyway, sorry, what did that have to do with Russia? I totally cut you off.
You were asking me if they got involved in the Crusades, and I'm thinking that I don't think they were... Well, I can't say for sure that no Russians were involved in any of the Crusades. It is likely that if there were any battles between them, it was probably just natural border expansion and warfare instead of, we're participating in the Crusades.
Okay.
Because amongst other things, the Eastern Orthodox Church, which is eventually going to take over in Russia, they are not, while the Roman Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodox Church have from time to time worked together, they have not always been the best of buddies, the best of friends. One of the leading theories for why the Crusades come about is because the Eastern Orthodox Church asks the Roman Catholic Church for help in this matter. But at least as far as the what will eventually become Russia at this time, I don't think the Eastern Orthodox Church had enough pull or even that much loyalty to the Byzantium Empire, which would have been the rulers, the controllers of the Eastern Orthodox Church at the time.
Ah, I see. Okay, so back to the map. What is Muscovy and Ryazan and Kazan and Novgorod?
All right, so Novgorod is
Pakov and Teutonic Order, and why do they sound so much cooler than Russia?
Okay, so let me address a couple of those. So Muscovy, I think you can guess what that is. That was a kingdom that was based out of the city of Moscow.
Oh!
Same thing for Novgorod. Novgorod, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it.
Oh, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it
right. Was also a city, I think it was one of the northernmost cities that was part of the Hanse League for trading. So the Hanse League...
What's the Hanse League?
It was a northern European trading business entity that existed around about this time. The Hans League basically did private trade, all throughout the area of the Atlantic and the Baltic.
It's got like a ton of land on this map.
Yeah, because there was lots of trade. So peninsulas and islands make for good trade ports, and coastline is good too. So yeah, you got lots of coastline. The Hans League, to the best of my knowledge, they operated at least as far north as Novgorod, which was the northernmost point that I'm familiar with. And they went down all the way to at least Brest, I believe, in France. They also, of course, operated then along England. I don't know if they went into Ireland, but it wouldn't make sense that they wouldn't have gone into Ireland.
Dang.
But yeah, they were known as the Hans League. They were private traders.
And what
one could argue that this was like the beginnings of capitalism, because they were in free enterprise. They paid taxes to the local lords and to the mayors, but they were private businessmen.
Were they like outside of?
So they were.
Which king were they supposed to be loyal to?
They were not loyal to any king.
Okay.
They were a league, so a league of private businessmen. And yeah, they did have to pay taxes and duties to the king that owned the cities where they operated. And it wasn't unheard of if the king didn't, or the prince or the lord or whatever, didn't think he was getting enough of his cut. It wasn't beyond them to attack the city that the League's office was in to raid them.
Well, obviously they were
I don't
powerful.
know if the League controlled its own cities or not. I don't think they do. Certainly some League members ran for political offices and whatnot, and that helped the League do business.
And what years was this?
I don't remember the years off the top of my head, but it was they were operating sometime during the 1400s. I don't remember when they started. I don't remember when they stopped.
Sorry, and what did that have to do with Novgorod?
I mentioned that Novgorod is a city. Again, it was one of the northernmost cities in the League. I'm pretty sure it's so this map might be no, okay, if it's where I'm thinking of, then yeah, it is. It's on the coastline. I think right at the spot where what is today Sweden and what is today Estonia.
That doesn't help me.
Okay. It's a city in the north.
Got
so the Kingdom of Novgorod is probably based out of that city.
Oh, okay.
All right, and then you asked me about some other places.
Oh, all of them. They sound so cool. Ryazan, Kazan,
All right, so I'm not seeing Ryazan with my weak eyes. Where's Ryazan?
It's right under Muscovy.
Right under Muscovy?
It's light green.
Oh, that little one light green? Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm not familiar with that one off the top of my head. It's obviously going to get absorbed into a greater Russian Empire at some point in time. What else?
What's Kazan? Is that related to like Kazakhstan?
Again, I can't see Kazan either.
It's to the east of Muscovy.
To the east of Muscovy.
How blind are you? Oh, that map is pretty small.
It's very small.
I'm sorry. You can zoom with your fingers, probably.
Okay, let me try that. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, Kazan. I don't know if it has anything to do with Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan, to the best of my knowledge, though, is several hundred more miles to the east and a little bit to the south.
Oh, okay.
Than that
but
represents.
That's today.
That's today. And then for all I know, that if we had more of this map, the Kazan, whatever it is, might extend to that area.
Yeah. And so you said the Golden Horde had to do with
the Mongolian Empire.
Mongolians. Yeah. So did they... From this point, did they lose land?
Yes, the Mongolians are eventually pushed back all the way to... So unless I'm mistaken, the last vestige of the Mongolian Empire outside of Mongolia is the Mughal Empire in India, and they don't last... I don't think they last into the 1800s. They might have lasted a little bit into the 1800s.
Wow. Okay, so it looks to me like the most dramatic change here from today would be like Lithuania shrinking and Russia just absorbing everything.
Yeah, Russia's going to eventually get most of that land, and Russia's even going to get Lithuania for a time. Lithuania, I don't remember when Russia takes over Lithuania, but Lithuania does get its independence at least after World War I. Russia reabsorbs it during World War II, or either right before World War II or during World War II. And then I believe it ostensibly gets its independence again after that, or no, the USSR might have kept it until the USSR broke up and then it got its independence again. I don't remember well enough because that's after the 50s.
Yeah. Okay. So we've talked before about the Cold War and all the changes that happened there.
Sorry. Okay. So there are two other parts of this that I wanted to talk about briefly because I enjoy them. All right. So the Teutonic Order, that was a Crusader organization. Those were Christian knights that set up the Teutonic Order.
Okay, so that's right next to Lithuania.
Yeah, notice that it's not anywhere in the Crusader battle areas, but that was a Crusader kingdom.
But it's touching the Holy Roman Empire.
Yeah, the Holy Roman Empire is something that we could do a gazillion episodes
Oh,
on,
I
so I'm
know.
going
I
to
know.
avoid that one.
It wasn't holy, it wasn't Roman, and it wasn't an
So
empire. That's all I remember.
that is actually wrong.
You've
So
been saying that for
I have said
years.
that for years, but a study that I did recently actually convinced me that okay, holy it was. It was definitely, if not the holiest of
Well,
holy
it depends
empires,
how
it
you
was definitely
define
a
it.
very religious empire. Roman, yeah, it wasn't Roman. And
Yeah.
empire, there's room for give and take on that
I
one.
mean, it's pretty large on this map in the
Yes.
1460s.
Mhm.
Isn't that all it
And I
takes to
dare
be an
say
empire?
this looks like this would have been about the height of its power.
Oh, okay. So sorry, what's the Teutonic Order?
The Teutonic Order was a crusader kingdom.
What does that mean?
They were a group of knights that formed during their crusades, and they set up a kingdom for themselves up there.
Why there?
Because
That's so far away.
because during their crusades and even after the crusades, not all people went to the Holy Land to do their crusading. Lots of the knights and lots of the barons, lots of the powerful people and even the organizations or the orders, in this case the Teutonic Order, set up shops, set up lands for themselves in other places of the world. They were
But
bigger
why?
than this at some point in time, but and I don't remember them being split up on the map that I remember seeing of
Yeah,
them.
here they're kind of divided with Lithuania, like get some coastline by reaching into and splitting them up.
Yeah. All right, and then the other one that I wanted to point out is a big thing that's going on during this time period is what is known as the Reconquista. So
You mentioned this before
I did? Oh, okay.
when we were talking about Crusades, probably.
Perhaps the Reconquista would have been among the last of the Crusades, or at least a Crusader
Yeah.
theme. So yeah, this would have been when the Moors, the Muslim empires, are being pushed out of Spain. So you can see Castile's pretty big, and the Kingdom of Aragorn. They're eventually.
It's not Aragorn. It's not.
I say Aragorn all the time. Aragon.
It's not. It's not Viggo Mortensen. Aragorn.
So I do not remember the years of their marriage off the top of my head, but eventually King Ferdinand of Aragorn is going to marry Aragon. Is going to marry Queen Isabella of Castile. Their kingdoms are going to merge together to be Spain. And yes, this is the same Ferdinand and Isabella who will give Columbus his charter.
Oh, okay, but then Catherine of Aragon that marries King Henry. She hailed from the Aragon section? How did she have that surname?
She hailed from Spain because Spain was Spain by that time.
Okay, so this is way past.
And as far as why she had the title of Aragon, I don't know what that might have been. For example, the heir to the throne in England is called the Prince of Wales. To the best of my knowledge, almost none of them have ever actually lived in Wales, much less been born of Welsh or of Welsh descent.
Oh, okay.
So why would Catherine have had the title Catherine of Aragon? I don't know. It's possible that's because that's the region she was from. It might also be that was just the title that Spanish princesses had.
Well, yeah, because if you look at like England, you've got the Prince of Wales, and then the what's his name? The spare, William's brother, Henry. Harry?
Oh, yeah.
Harry.
The heir and the spare.
Yes, the heir and the spare. Harry, he is the Duke of Sussex. That's just another region in England. So he's just gifted that because he's a noble, right?
Yeah, that could be.
Okay.
Oh, and then another thing I'm liking about this map, Wallachia.
Yes, we've talked about Wallachia. That's where vampires come from.
That is where Vlad Dracu comes
That's
from.
where vampires come from.
Give me strength.
I don't remember. Was this our episode about historical villains, or did we have a full episode just on him?
I don't remember.
I don't know.
Oh,
that was
okay.
a good one.
So no, okay. I thought I remembered something else, but then I'm getting that mixed up.
Yeah.
I was thinking of something about Ivan the Terrible.
So from this point in 1460, does the Ottoman Empire go further north and take up land that would be Russia, or do they shrink from this point?
I do not remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure the Ottoman Empire is still expanding at this point in history.
Right, but Vlad stops them from expanding into Wallachia.
Well, he stops them for a good chunk of time. He's not successful. I do believe the Ottomans eventually do get in. And they're eventually pushed back out again, but I don't remember the details.
Yeah, that's cool.
Wallachia will eventually be absorbed either by the Ottomans or by Hungary or by somebody else. Today, I think Wallachia is part of Romania.
It is, yeah. Yeah, it's Romania. I don't know European geography, but I do remember that. Do you remember why?
No.
Funicula. We talked about this.
Okay.
Okay. Do you see that tiny, tiny little piece, like inside Muscovy. It looks like an amoeba has eaten another tiny organism.
Yes.
What is that? Tyre or something?
Not familiar with what that is.
You don't know what that is?
Nope, not familiar with a city of that name in that area either.
Okay, so I Googled, Andy might not want to Google, but I Googled. The Kalmar Union is indeed not from Star Trek.
Oh, gee, I'm glad you pointed that out, because there were some serious doubts at this end of the table.
It was a personal union in Scandinavia, obviously, because that's where it is on the map. Agreed at Kalmar in Sweden. So this was a union that was made from 1397 to 1523. It joined 3 kingdoms under a single monarch. So obviously, because it's a large group on this map, that makes sense.
And all of a sudden, I'm having doubts about what I said about the Hans League. Maybe the Hans League operated in the 1300s, not the 1400s. Oh. It's been too long since. It's one of the great problems with my love of history is that sometimes it's a long time since I've read something about something, so I get the details mixed up and fuzzy.
For shame. And something that...
Sorry, the Hans League doesn't often come up when my students are asking me questions, so it doesn't always stay fresh in my mind.
I've literally never heard of it. How can you...
Most people haven't, I imagine.
I don't know how you keep like these random details in your head from the 1400s.
Because they're cool.
But like, then there's things that you don't know. I'm like, how?
Maybe they weren't as cool, or maybe I just never got around to hearing about them. I'm sure that I'm sure that in my laser focus of learning about something or other at a time, I probably passed up a lot of references to other things that could have given me more knowledge about other stuff, but that I determined at the time was, okay, well, I'll have to look that up later, and then maybe never got around to it.
Right. Okay, so I have a question. So we've talked...
You had more, I thought you had more questions about this map.
So you just want to know about Russia. That was it. So we're talking about Russia.
So I do not remember for sure when the Russian Empire begins.
What would we call the Russian Empire? This is way before Soviet Union.
Way before Soviet Union. The Soviet Union is a revolution, a rebellion, if you will, or a
Against
reorganization of the Russian Empire.
Oh, okay.
So when Nicholas II abdicates and the Duma and the Soviets...
Anastasia guy. That's what we talked about before. Yes. Okay. No, I'm with you. Okay.
And the Duma and the Soviets are fighting over who's going to control the Russian Empire at that point. Yeah. Well, the Soviets are the ones that win, and it's not called the Russian Empire anymore from that point forward. Oh. It's called the Soviet Republic, or the Soviet States' Republic. The United Soviet States' Republic. No, sorry. The Union of Soviet States Republics.
I don't know.
I don't remember what the official name was. It was one of those. It was either the United Soviet States Republics or the Union of Soviet State Republics.
Well, they wouldn't have even called that because they would have been speaking Russian.
Okay, well, yeah, okay. And I don't know what the Russian words for it are. I know the alphabet would have been, instead of the USSR, would have been CCCP, but I don't remember what the stands for.
Wait, seriously? CCCP?
Yeah, CCCP. That's what it was in their alphabet.
Oh. I know their alphabet is really different.
You know how I know that?
How?
Pictures of old sports uniforms.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. That's why I know what the letters are, but I have no idea what the words are.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so...
Pictures sometimes can be very good clues into history.
That's neat. Okay, so my question is, so we've talked before about the Cold War and how that obviously made a lot of changes to the region that we know as Russia. Mm-hmm. You know, they're absorbing countries are breaking away and getting their independence, whatever. Okay, can you think of any other events, like major events that you know of, pre that time that would have made like big changes to this area? Just like, do you happen
Are you thinking specifically of the Russian area or the Europe area?
No, Russia specifically, like this northeastern Europe.
No, because to the best of my knowledge, Russia is pretty much left alone. That's probably one of the reasons why it was able to expand so big and so large.
Really?
So most of the powers in Europe are in Western Europe.
Yeah.
The Eastern Europe, not too many great powers. There are kingdoms that have a substantial bit of power, but because of the fighting, either with the Ottoman Empire or because of there's there's an old rule about geography
Uh-huh.
for cities, for nations, for kingdoms, even to really expand, to become big, to become popular, to have success. One of the key things that you need is good geography, and in particular, the thing that you need more than anything else is rivers and coastline.
I knew it.
You need rivers and coastline because without rivers and coastline, then trade and travel is very limited. Yeah, stuff can go on roads. You can pack the stuff and carry it yourself or put it on wagons pulled by pack animals. Not only is it expensive, but it's slow and you're more vulnerable to bandits and whatnot. Rivers and coastlines, however, allow you to use water transportation. And throughout history, water, even to this day, has always been the best, the most reliable, efficient means of transporting stuff. You can haul humongous loads that pack animals would never be able to pull, and you can use the ocean currents, river current, and sails from wind, obviously, to move that stuff along. Additionally, the crew can sleep or take shifts while the river is or the ocean is still pushing your thing along. Water has always been best. So one of the reasons why the big powers in Europe are in Western Europe and not Eastern Europe, more access to coastline, more access to rivers, and thus more access to other cities with coastlines and rivers. So more trade, more ideas, more economic prosperity, and more science, more development, more technology as ideas are being shared in this regard. So again, this leads to lots of big powers in Western Europe, but as you get further into Eastern Europe, where there are less rivers, where there is virtually no coastline, and a lot of mountains to further, rough terrain at least, to further break up travel and trade and commerce, then you get still kingdoms, still even powerful kingdoms, but not even remotely comparable to their Western neighbors that have better geography. And the same thing goes for Russia as well. Russia is practically all alone in its little corner of the world. After these kingdoms are conquered or unified, then Russia really has nobody that it needs to worry with. It has no adversaries to its east. It has no adversaries to its north. It has only mild interest of anybody that might bother it in the west. So its biggest competitors, to the best of my memory, at least at this time, are tribes from the previous Mongolian invasions or from the Ottoman Empire in the south. And even then, just most people aren't, at least from the best of my reckoning, just aren't that interested in Russia.
It's too cold.
The biggest thing that Russia has going for it, that I recall at least at this time, is as more and more of Western Europe specifically becomes colonized, isn't the right word, becomes settled. There's not as much wilderness or frontier or anything like that anymore. Well, then Russia has a big market because if people want furs, they got to go to Russia. Because the hunting grounds are limited, or if you want to get into the fur trade, then Russia is the only place that has huge squatches of wilderness for you to go and do your hunting and come back with lots and lots of furs. Believe it or not, this is one of the reasons why the fur trade is such a big deal, especially for the French, when the Americans are discovered. All of a sudden, the French don't have to go to Russia and pay Russian taxes anymore. They can set up their own fur trading colonies, fur trapping resources in the Americas.
That makes sense. But are American beaver pelts as good as whatever animals they're hunting in Russia?
They're cheaper, if not better.
Okay.
And arguably cheaper makes them better.
I mean, yeah, in a way.
So I don't know if they were better, but they were good enough that French trappers made a heck of a lot of money. Money that Russia didn't get anymore.
Oh, did that make them mad?
I don't know if it made them mad, but this would have been one of the reasons for why, or this would have been one of the things that would at least have helped the Russians not to develop their kingdom as fast as, again, those Western powers. Because again, because Russia doesn't have a lot of rivers and Russia doesn't have a lot of coastline or good coastline in Russia's case.
Well, it's all icy. It's all northern.
Well, it has some water access that isn't icy. Not all of it that doesn't freeze, though, eventually in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So the Russian capital, for example, St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg is on the coast. It's not Moscow in the dead of land.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the loss of that fur trade is one of the things that would have hurt Russia's economy.
Well, that is really neat.
I think so.
Very cool. Now, this whole time that we've been looking at this map, I'm so tempted to Google those videos of showing the maps change over all of medieval, Europe over the medieval era. Those are so fun.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those.
Those are so neat. And I don't understand any of it, but it's so fun to see these countries are shrinking and growing and changing names so fast. I mean, it's not really that fast considering the medieval times were like hundreds of years.
I've said this before. This is one of the reasons why I'm happy that the Confederacy lost the Civil War. Not just because, of course, slavery ended, but mainly because if the Confederacy had been successful, I think that that's exactly what would have happened in the United States.
Yeah.
If there had been a successful breakaway, I think it only would have been a matter of time before other states left the Union, before the Confederacy itself broke up into different states, and that to this day, we might all, 50 of us, assuming that there were 50 of us at any point in time, we might all still be battling each other like those European kingdoms, squabbling for power.
Dang. Seems likely. Yeah, Europe's a mess, and America is so much better in every single way. All right, that's it for today.
I'm not going to argue with that.
Oh, really? I was trying to say something inflammatory.
Not all of Europe is a mess, and maybe America isn't better in every way, but we're better in enough of the right ways.
Yeah. All right, well, I don't know if we answered Andy's question. Well, I mean, we played around his question. I
answered a lot of yours. How many of those questions you asked me were Andy's?
No, it was all me just trying to keep you talking.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if we answered to his satisfaction, but that was interesting. And now I am curious, like, when did the Russian Empire, as it came to be, like, when did that happen and how? Because that would be an interesting point.
I'm not familiar. The only thing that keeps coming to my mind and thinking about it at this moment is when the Russians first began using the term Tsar for their kings, or their emperors, I should say.
I mean, that would be a pretty good benchmark, huh?
Yeah.
Because that would indicate that they were definitely like unified, like one ruler over that land, right?
Yeah, so that's one way of thinking it. The other way to think about it is that the king at the time just wanted to give himself a cool title to make him sound cool, like Caesar. So he called himself the Tsar. Just like the German kings or emperors for a time were called the Kaiser, because that's the pronunciation of Caesar's name.
All three of those words are related?
Yeah,
Tsar comes from Caesar?
The term Kaiser comes from Caesar.
I knew that.
Unless I'm mistaken, that's the actual Latin pronunciation of his name.
Yeah.
And yeah, the term Tsar also comes from Caesar. Ivan the Terrible, yes, him. He is the first one to use that title, gave it to himself, because he wanted to be... I don't remember so much that he wanted his people to think of him like it, or he thought himself as awesome as Caesar.
That's actually...
Probably a mixture of the two. And
That's funny.
And he set that precedent. All the Russian emperors after that called themselves czars. The last czar of Russia was Nicholas II.
Wow.
Yeah, he wasn't called king or emperor. He was the czar.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. Yeah. Pretty cool. All right.
History is cool.
Sometimes. Thank you for listening. If you liked what you heard, then please subscribe, tell your friends, and leave us a 5-star review.
If you'd like to hear a future episode about today's topic, contact us on Gmail, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok at Married to History Pod.
Also, please contact us if you have a silly question idea or if there's something from history that you would love to learn about.
Just be sure to specify in your message if it's silly or serious, because we don't want to treat a genuine quest for knowledge as a joke, and I don't want to call somebody a fool if they don't deserve it.
You're maturing. I'm so proud of you.
Lies.
Talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I think I'm ready.
Okay. Hit me.
Hit me, baby, one more time.
No. I'm not even going to entertain that.
Why don't you love me?
I love you. I remember once when somebody told me I wasn't allowed to have an opinion about dads caring about what kind of music their daughters listen to. And I thought, how am I not relevant to that? I'm a dad. I have daughters. I care about what music they listen to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them listening to music that tells them that they should let men treat them like trash or commodities or something else.
That's very controversial of you to say.
Maybe controversial to some people out there in the world, but I'm willing to bet there's not a dad out there worthy of being called a dad that disagrees with me.
Yep. You're going to get canceled over it, though. Just watch out.
How can I get canceled if I haven't even been started? Order?
Good point.